Hello, welcome to Shittywebcomics Weekly. Angels, subscribe, that kind of
Angels,
stuff.
Angels Revenge.
Subscribe to us being angels. And
Are we-
revisiting Sinfest because he's going, he was, anyways, going
I was going to say
nuclear
that we're
J-woke.
biblically accurate angels, which is
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's right.
a line we used once before in an old video.
That was a good one. But, well, by old, you mean a few months ago. Whatever. Who knows? Who knows who
Yeah,
cares? But here,
hey,
this
I don't
from
even
again.
care.
This is kind of old right now, and then it's going to be even older by the time the episode goes up. But from March 30th of 2025, Sinfest, just straight up about Ben Shapiro. He's sitting in the burning room, referencing, of course, the other meme by the more successful webcomic artist Casey Green, not to be confused with Schmorky, because I guess they're different people.
Not to be confused with Casey Kasem.
Yes, the wonderful Casey Kasem.
Not to
Um,
be confused with Casey and the Sunshine Band.
not to be confused with Casey Anthony.
Casey Anthony.
Anyways, it says, meanwhile, the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro just sitting in the burning room saying this is fine. Second panel is him just walking with it's hard to see, suitcase full of money. Not a suitcase full of pistols and money, though, unfortunately. So, boo, it sucks.
There's clearly a oversight on
Mm.
Tatsuya's part.
Yeah, but other people around him are just on fire while screaming. One of them may be Matt Walsh. I don't care. And then third panel
It,
is,
it's probably, I mean, it's undeniably employees of the fucking Daily Wire.
yes, that's the point. But the third panel is Jew escape pod as Ben Shapiro is like punching in a keypad. This time with two suitcases full of money. And then the last panel is Daily Wire building on fire as his Jew escape pod just sort of flies out of it. Which now, of course, this didn't happen because Daily Wire is his site. Why would he escape from his own site when really? And there's another thing is that people were talking about like, oh fucking Matt Walsh, he's going J woke. He's really starting to go there, and it's like that's probably just Ben Shapiro testing the audience to see if that gets them.
Yeah,
So I mean,
it's
you really think Ben Shapiro wouldn't do that? You think
it's an
that
absolute
fucking
sign tap.
that's it's the bizarre thing is that people are like, oh, Jews are so conniving, and yet at the same time are like
No way a Jew would ever do that.
they would never try to monetize like J-wokery,
I mean, we've had
anti-Zionism.
people attack us over people exactly like Matt Walsh.
Yeah,
We're
it's
like, no, Matt Walsh is actually super based and Chad pilled
yeah.
and Chad dad
Again,
pilled, and it's like, yeah, whatever.
that means
No,
you're
he's not.
subverted. That means have been completely subverted. You are especially susceptible to brainwashing and propaganda. You're
Brainwashing
wait,
and propaganda.
yes, at the same time, and reality and personal experience is something that you're not. Now, here's the thing that's sad is that if I click on to even like or retweet, I can't even click on the thing to retweet. I can't like it and I can't reply. If I try, it says, "Why can't you reply to this? The author has blocked you." Very sad. I would have retweeted this. Tatsuya, do you realize the mistake you made? I could have retweeted your comic. Instead, now I just have to copy it and post it like it's my own. Because I mean, hey, you blocked me, so I can do that legally. I'm legally allowed to steal all of your content. Not that I'm really doing that because we're just looking at it, and it's funny because this was like people were really standing up and going, "Oh, he's our guy," and not realizing that he was just going to go back. We had called this that he was clearly just using this as an example of super ultra hardcore rad fem turf feminism.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's very important.
yeah, and we will do another strip from. In fact, there's so many. We really could do one every single day because he posts every single day. He actually got really consistent with that, and the quality of his comics did go up. And I don't mean just because he's making fun of Jewish people. That's just kind of funny in a way that's like, well, he lost his mind, but at least in a way that makes the comic more interesting. Maybe not even more entertaining. Like this one just is like, oh, Ben Shapiro's leaving the Daily Wire, but he didn't. He didn't leave the Daily Wire. In fact, nobody left the Daily Wire. People talking about how, oh, Matt Walsh is for sure going to get fired from the Daily. No, of course not. That was the part of the plan, and it should have seemed obvious. People were like, oh, he did What Is a Woman? And it's like, yeah, because that was safe to do. Here's what happens is they realize what you want to see, so they make content based on that. If Ben Shapiro runs a company that thinks you want to see people trash Jews, they will make content that does that and make money off of you thinking that they're really going after the Israel and Zionism and all that shit.
Yeah, the
You have
programming
been
worked.
subverted.
If you don't see the programming, that means the programming worked.
Yes, exactly. And it's kind of an example. It's Tetsuya really. It is a more interesting comic. It's better to look at. It's more entertaining, but it's still just as clueless and delusional as ever. But still, if you read Sinfest, if you started reading Sinfest, if you always
I've
read
legitimately
Sinfest,
that is also one of the things is I've saved a few Fincest strips,
yes,
now known as Fincest.
Winfest. What? What?
What the fuck?
What?
But anyway, no. Back in the day, I saved like maybe two that I actually thought were legitimately good, and then I saved like 10 that were really stupid.
Yeah.
And then I haven't saved it. And I went from like 2001 to 2019.
It is funny that ultimately Tetsuya won. Tetsuya did ultimately win over Schmorky, or as we used to know him, Dave Kelly. That's a whole other backstory.
AKA the guy who did a bunch of cartoons for Something Awful.
Yeah, well, before then, he did lots of webcomics, and I remember the first one was Living in Greytown, which I actually liked. And he was a furry even back then. But it wasn't as overt. I didn't know he was a furry, but it's like thinking back on it, it was kind of obvious.
The best way to be a furry,
But
undeniably best way to be a furry.
he did a comic making fun of Sinfest back then too, though. He did like a little side comic. He had like I think 5 other Keen Space sites, or he had the one and kept renaming it to other shit. But he was making fun of Sinfest, and Tetsuya like threatened to sue him just for making fun of Sinfest in his own comic. He didn't even take Sinfest comics and edit them. He just made and Tetsuya threatened to sue him.
Yeah, just simple
really
parody comic.
gay.
I remember that actually. The Sinfest forums were very notorious for essentially kicking people off just for disagreeing.
Well, it was a hug box. It was like one of the most perfect and early examples of a hug box, going back to the early 2000s, all the way to the late 2000s, the 2010s, and so on. And to the point where we were getting refugees from the Sinfest forums to our fucking goofy ass comic review blog, the original Shittywebcomics blog. We got a bunch of people from the Sinfest forums being like, yeah, I used to post there all the time, and ever since he started melting down and going full feminist,
many stories of that.
I left.
The entire history of comics is I used to be X, but now I can no longer be.
Yeah. It's funny at all of their expense, because, and again, we are constantly getting refugees from a comic, a creator, a site, whatever, from people who realize by force, like mugged by reality, that we were right all along about
literally
this
pitiable refugees.
Yes,
pathetic refugees.
Pathetic, but also at the same time, good job. Finally realizing also, and listening to
a lot of these people, they come to us and they're like, "Oh, you'll be my new daddy."
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not looking to replace your parasocial relationship, and that's the thing. Those people never last. Like those refugees who show up, they always run off. We don't even intentionally run them off. They run themselves off just from being exposed to what they can't handle from us, which is why that's why it's a good thing to purity test, and the people who do follow us are the most pure. It's impossible to become more pure as a human being, a Hyperborean being, than the
Because
people who listen to Shitty
Cyberborean
Webcomics.
Ultramensch.
So, anyways, yeah, if you want to be like that, if you want to secure your ticket through the portal into Hyperborea, just donate $5 to our Subscribe Star. Just $5 a month. That's nothing. It's like it doesn't even exist. It was like nothing. I should increase it to $1 trillion a month, but you know what? I'm not going to. Wow. Wow. Anyways, we'll cover Sinfest next on the next episode, and to be honest, we should cover Sinfest. We could cover Sinfest every episode forever, because the thing is, the next one doesn't even get into like his sort of receding back to feminism, or revealing that really it was all about feminism again. But we'll get to some of that in the next episode. So unlike reshare, unreshare, and should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.